Alright guys, so I had a list. I wrote up a bunch of stuff because in this video I'm going to tell you everything that's on my car and how much it costs. And there's a lot of parts, so although I know roughly about what things cost, I still made a list to make it more accurate. I started reading off this list as I was talking to you all, and I felt like unconnected because, you know, although I'm talking to a camera, I know I'm talking to, you know, a lot of people out there, and you know, after vlogging a few videos, you kind of feel like you're talking to, you know, everybody out there. So I get frequently asked a couple questions. One, what's my wheel specs? And everybody gets asked that question. And two, or everybody with good fitment at least. Two, like what's all been done to my car and how much it costs. So in this video, I'm going to tell you about my car basically, and then a few of my friends are going to come over, and I don't know if I'm going to be vlogging too much of that, but David has to get some work done to either his Evo or his Crosstrek, and I don't know which one he's going to come up with. But so on my car, let's start off with these hood pins actually. These are QL38 quick latch hood pins. They were $135 about. It ended up costing me about $160 because I had a hairpin overnight because I wanted to go to an event and I just put the hood on. By the way, the hood and the hatch are both Seibon. I absolutely love these two items. They fit amazing. The finish on it is perfect. I have like no complaints. The hatch ended up being about 800 bucks without the glass. The glass is about another 200. It's an aftermarket piece and I put it in myself. By the way, everything on this car I do myself. I don't usually, you know, outsource or go to a shop and get anything done. I love my car. I love building the car myself, being independent with it. Rarely I'll go to a alignment shop. Most of the times I'll bring out like literally a giant right angle tape measure and I'll like do it all myself, and it usually comes out really good. So back to it though. The hood was $950. They were both purchased through Injuku Racing. Really good company. Sometimes I go through a guy named PK Media, and he's really good. You can check him out on Instagram. He also has a page that he's a part of, Kingji Garage, but I very highly suggest you just go into PK Media. He can get you really, really good deals on a lot of stuff. So anyhow, the Tomei exhaust ended up costing about, I think it was $940 is what it was for how much I got it for. And the carbon fiber rear overs are through Crown Carbon. I suggest it, but the finish isn't going to be as good as the Seibon or the Fly One. I'll get to the Fly One in a second. These were about $850 shipped to the house. I've noticed that they're not as good of like a clear on it, like as thick and as smooth or whatnot, but the fitment's really good, and the company is amazing. I would always purchase through them just because the company they're really good. They'll always do right by you, and you can talk to them on the phone. They're all down to earth people. Fly One Motorsports made the front fenders. They did a very good job with that. I think they're probably second best to Seibon. One thing I didn't like about it is that black highlight, and you can see it really good right now. I didn't like it at first, but I didn't trim my fender out properly the first go around. I got a couple miles down the road and I broke this piece off. So it's cool that it's black because I can just spray paint that edge black and it'll look right back to where it was beforehand. But, you know, Seibon to me is like, you know, top dog. Fly One Motorsports, really good company, so as Crown Carbon. So I highly suggest those. The front fenders were $1,125 shipped to the house. These headlights were actually done by the previous owner. He did the headlights, he did stage 2 clutch, and all the master and slave cylinder issues you have with 350Zs, he redid that. And he had put the coilovers on it. The coilovers are K-Sport Control Pros. They're usually about like $880, 900 bucks. They have horrible reviews from what I've seen. Nobody usually likes those coilovers on the forums, but then again, those are the forums, and you know, I actually like them. I think they ride really smooth. I put 8K springs in the rear because they come with like 6.7K springs, which are way too soft. So after I got those inside the rear, it's amazing, you know, ride quality. I think it handles well, so I have like no complaints with it, and I would actually, I mean, I kind of would actually recommend it a little bit, but then again, you might as well spend that extra $100 and get the BCs. I stand behind BC. I used to have them on all my other cars. So anyhow, the front lip, it's actually an eBay lip. It's a replica of the Mines lip, which is extremely hard to find and extremely expensive when you do find it. So this one was about, I think it was $450. It had this little, you know, you're on eBay and they have the make an offer. If you go through anything like that, make an offer, like eventually, like at least you can get like 25 bucks off or so. So anyhow, it fit really well all the way up into this corner right here where it's spaced out a little bit and it didn't come all the way to the edge, so I just trimmed the bumper out. This car is built to be a drift car and I will be drifting the car. So there's little things on the car that I try to make everything as perfect as I can, but after a while I just lose effort and I'm like, you know what, forget it. It's probably gonna get ripped off the car eventually anyways. I just wanted the car to look good for at least one show season. So the wheels. What's your specs, bro? So everybody gets asked that question inside the game. A lot of people don't even like to answer it. I like to answer it personally. It helps somebody else out. I guess people should kind of do their math and figure out exactly what they want in a car. But you know, having ballpark numbers is really cool. So mine are 19 by 10 up front, 19 by 11 in the rear. Both of them have a positive 18 offset, but here's where things get really, really tricky, and the reason why I say don't go by my specs. So the fronts are a mid disc and the rears are a low disc. In the rear of a 350Z, even with the big brakes, a low disc, like they sit so far in because there's an inner drum in here that they actually don't get anywhere near the caliper. So I got those for the rear. My dual brake caliper bracket spaced out the suspension 15 millimeters, so that's something to take into consideration. You could actually go down to, I guess, closer to a 0 and have the same as me because everything's been spaced out just a hair. So up front, I actually have a 20 millimeter spacer to clear the brakes. I probably could have did, no, it's really tight. So it kind of makes the wheel like a -2 offset. Just because my face on the Cerebus are so flat, they don't really clear the big brakes. But the wheels, just the wheels, not without the tires, were $2,100. They were built by VR Wheels. They have a pearl white face with gold hardware, new outer lips and everything. So they were a little bit on the pricey side, but I really, really liked the way it turned out. And you know, if I did it anywhere else, I was going to spend the same amount. So yeah, but now, everybody asks about this, and it is a lot more than what you probably thought it cost me, and it's only because of the things I did. So, I went with the Part Shop Max hydraulic e-brake handle, their bracket, the Wilwood through them cylinder, and then I went with their line kit. My bracket that I bought is off of Injuku Racing. It has the piece on the bottom of it so you can actually have the regular e-brake, which I really wanted still. And then I got these from a guy on Facebook. This one's all scored up. He gave me some perfect ones, but the bleeder stripped off, so then he ended up giving me another one that was, you know, not so perfect, but it works perfectly fine. So I'm happy with it. But everything together with the Brembros ended up costing me about $1,100. So that was a little bit more than what I thought I was going to spend on it. And I didn't know that you could actually have a slide caliper and a Brembo on the same rotor. Had no clue, but I found out you could afterwards. So that's the way to save a little bit of money, or you can just get slightly cheaper parts. I wouldn't say get cheap parts, but they sell like hydraulic e-brake handles with the piston in it, and everything's together, and it's a little bit cheaper, and you can run your own lines, you can do stuff like that. But I just wanted something that was really easy to do, so that ended up costing, you know, right about $1,100. So I'm gonna pop the hood. Somebody's here. David bought the cross strut. So underneath the hood, you have the engine intakes. They were about $415, but I'm actually going to get either the Admin 3-inch upper tubes to convert them to 3-inch intakes, or I'm gonna go through RZG Motorsports, who tunes the car, and just get their whole 3-inch intake kit. You pick up a lot of horsepower from those. Now I like the engines. My car made really good numbers on the engines, but 3-inch intakes are the way to go. If you're gonna do it, just go ahead and go all the way with it. I'm thinking the kit's probably like $550 usually. So it's a little bit more, but the amount of power you gain is crazy. Like you would be amazed by it. So let's see if we have anything else in the car. Oh, Voodoo PBM lower control arms. So the PBM lower control arms up front, which is the whole angle kit, was $950, and then I have the S14 tie rods. I don't remember exactly how much those are. It's for some reason 70 bucks is sticking inside of my head for that. I have Voodoo 13, because they're true style coilovers, by the way. So I have Voodoo 13 tow rods and camber arms inside the rear. And those were, I think the camber arms are $209 and the tow rods are $220. So really good piece. It deletes this big old spring bucket that you have right here. So kind of lightens things up. I know it's just a little bit of weight, but you know, everything counts when you're building a car. So I think that's pretty much about it with the car. Okay, so I did touch bases. It does have a stage 2 collection in it, and it was tuned by RZG. Oh, it has a ISR Y pipe, which is $180. I would suggest that to anybody. It makes great power, probably second best to a Tomei Y pipe. Of course, it's a little bit heavier because it's steel, but eventually I do want to get the Tomeis just to have the full, you know, Tomei everything. But it's a really good product, and it's only 180 bucks. It's like the cheapest Y pipe out there. It makes like the most horsepower just about out of anything else. I would definitely suggest that. And then I have Burke resonated test pipes on the car. All together, like, everybody loves the sound of it. I love the sound of it. At first, when I first started and drove it down the road, before I guess the exhaust was like coated with soot, you know, whatever comes out of a car, it sounded a little bit on the raspy side, but that has actually gone away now, and it just sounds really, really, really higher pitch. Of course, it is a single exit, but very smooth at the same time. So I really like that aspect of it. So that's pretty much everything that's on the car. And other than the carbon fiber mirror overlays, which were on the car when I got it, I have no clue how much they cost. And he painted the door handles black. I calculated everything. There has poly diff bushings in it and a couple little doodads like that, stuff that you should do to keep your car running, you know, driving the correct way. And I tallied up everything, and it ended up being $15,325. So it's you know, that's doing everything your complete self, not going to a shop for anything. You know, if you need help with things and you actually go to shops, you know, a build like this that's somewhat still simple of a car can reach 20 grand, you know, or plus. So anyhow, I got a little bit more in the car than what the car actually cost. One of my friends just flew past the house, just missed the place. But I'm like extremely happy with the car. I know I'll probably be twice that soon. I really want to get the RZG Motorsports. I want to get their mid-mount turbo kit, so that's about a little less than 8 grand. And then of course you're gonna want more fuel and a better clutch. So, you know, it equals up to be 10 grand plus all day. But anyhow, there goes everything on the car. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe, and I'm gonna get to these guys now and see what they're doing. So appreciate all of y'all.